find a way to relax and thank you.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I have 20 minutes, take you on a 30-year journey. So I'm going to go fast, but please come and ask me questions at any point over the next couple of days. I'm very happy to talk about your projects. Okay, let's start. So Real is a market transformation focused organization. We invest in housing projects, but we do so to demonstrate what is possible within markets. We use evidence from that and from wider sector research and data gathering to build a knowledge base that can then be used to advocate for change. And that's looking across policy, looking across crowding in developers, crowding investment, changing end user finance, making housing markets work better. We do this across multiple countries in Africa and Asia, and I'm going to pull out some of those stories now. So as I said, we've been working within this area for over 30 years now. We say we've impacted 3.5 million people. There are some complex calculations going on behind that, but I think it is broadly true. That includes 15,000 plus new homes built, 10,000 plus refurbished homes as well, and various other pieces of work surrounding water, sanitation, tenant security, and many other areas. These are 5 projects I want to focus on now. 4 from our history and from our current work, and 1 that takes many of these learnings and takes them on into the future. And I'm going to start, I apologize, I'm talking about Asia and Africa here. I'm going to start with India and move on from there. So in India, we have a partnership with an NGO called Spark and its sister company SSNS. And through that partnership, we've built over 6,500 homes over the past 20 years. One of the main models that we've done this through, and the main model we've used in Mumbai, is called Transferable Development Rights, or TDR. TDR works because the Indian government sets limits on how dense you can build on a plot, both across the number of stories that a building can be and a proportion of a plot that's covered. However, if you're building slum replacement housing, you get additional rights. You first need to use those rights on the plot, but once you get beyond a certain point, you can sell and transfer those rights to another developer to be used in another part of the city. And in a city as huge, and as densely populated, and as geographically constrained as Mumbai, those rights are really, really valuable. Real worked within this project by providing initial grant financing, which was then used to unlock bank loans and additional lines of credit as well. We put in $5 million over this period. We can see here, we put in $5 million. That has unlocked a total of $15.7 million. And through transferable development rights, we've received $16 million back, so full cost recovery. And that has built almost 2,500 homes across Mumbai during that period. I'm going to very quickly zoom in on one project here, and that's Rajiv Indira. Rajiv Indira is in Dharavi, which is one of Asia's largest, most populous slums. It's also a really, really good location within Mumbai. It's very central. It's surrounded by great jobs and opportunities. People don't want to leave. Rajiv Indira is an in situ development project. So it took people who were already living within that local area, gained agreement from everyone within a certain space in order to demolish their homes and build a high quality apartment in its place instead. All that the people living there had to do was prove they'd lived on that site for a certain amount of time, and they would receive a new home at no cost to themselves. 157 apartments were built on this site. Real invested, or $2.2 million was invested in total. We've received $2.7 million back in terms of TDR payment. So it's a really successful project. It demonstrates effectively full cost recovery because it is in situ. People kept their same jobs, they kept their same schools, they kept their same communities, and that is hugely impactful in itself. It also was really successful in reaching a really long way down the income pyramid. and doing so for no cost. There were, of course, though, significant challenges in this model too, and the biggest one is time. First of all, as I said before, gaining agreement from everyone living in an area requires a huge amount of trust. Like, we're telling people we're going to knock your houses down and then we're going to build new ones. That's a difficult sell, and that can only really be done with a long period of community engagement with these people. Additionally, the TDR process itself is hugely bureaucratic and hugely slow. It requires government intervention, well, it requires ongoing intervention with government for a long period of time, and really, really strong links with government actors. So projects like these go on for many, many, many years. But as I say, $2.2 million invested, $2.7 million returned. I think it's a really great example of how this kind of project can work. Moving on to Nepal. In Nepal, we've worked with two main partners. That's Lumanti, a human shelter-focused NGO, and Sewa, a property developer. And this model has focused on providing guarantees to banks to get them to lend for incremental housing construction. This works because banks in Nepal have a legal obligation to lend to low-income households. But because they perceive the risk as being so high, most of them would rather pay a fairly small fine rather than actually make these loans. By Lumanti and Say were engaging and creating partnerships with banks, they were able to set up guarantee programs to unlock these loans and make them work. They would deposit guarantees into a high interest account with each bank, who would then make those loans, and the interest raised through that high interest account was able to more than offset any losses incurred from clients not repaying. So we have put in $1.3 million into this program 10 years ago. That money is all still there and is all continuing to raise. Loans are provided for around $3,000. People will take out this loan, we'll build, we'll repay, take out another loan, and that just keeps on happening. So a really nice, successful model again. I'm going to show another map and show that we've done this across multiple different cities in Nepal. We've built around 1,500 houses with this model so far. As I say, $1.3 million guarantee facility. That has so far unlocked $4.5 million in loans, and it just keeps on going. It will carry on going for quite some time. Again, I'm going to zoom in on one particular city, and that's Pokhara Leknas in Nepal. That is Nepal's second largest city. We've worked here since 2012. We've built 749 homes in that period so far. And since 2015, that work has focused quite significantly on post-earthquake reconstruction as well. Since those earthquakes, people have been rebuilding their homes, and Lumanti and Sewa have been able to work with clients to gain government reconstruction grants to support this construction too. So building on further from just the loan itself that's received. Again, I think a really impactful project. Full cost recovery, reaching low-income households, and significant progress over this period in reducing the size of guarantees too. We started at 80%, that came down to 50%, that then came down to 20%. They're still there, they still need guarantees to do this, but it is much, much lower than it was, meaning that we can guarantee many more loans than we could at the start. However, we spoke with one of the bank representatives a couple of years ago, and he said, I quote, "We'll probably not see a time when we would lend independently from Lumanti. Our final ambition for projects such as these was always that we could exit and banks would carry on lending like this. It's possible that might not happen with this kind of model, and that would be a real shame. And we've been stuck at 20% for a little while now, it's not moving." I'm going to move on to Pakistan before going to Africa. And I'm going to do so by letting them speak for themselves through a video, which I hope is going to work. I'll move on to the next slide, and let's see what can happen. Get out of the way.
In technology, to solve the global housing crisis. So we saw 1.6 billion people lacking adequate housing today. At the same time, we saw that buildings were contributing up to 40% in global carbon emissions. The idea was to create houses that could be set up quickly, but also be cost effective and sustainable all at the same time. These homes have a 90% lower carbon footprint than conventional homes in Pakistan. They also have a EDGE advanced certification, uh, with a rating of 96% in the energy savings. Moreover, these houses are passively cooled. They have excellent energy efficiency through really good insulation. The houses are 100% off grid, and they utilize solar power to power them. So the houses are manufactured in a factory as components, and then they're flat packed and shipped to a site where they can be assembled by semi-skilled labor without the need for any heavy equipment. Now, the intermesh system allows us to actually assemble these components like jigsaw pieces and gives us flexibility in terms of the design and the planning process of the homes. Modernist Tech is addressing the needs for women. For that purpose, we have partnered with women-only real estate companies in Pakistan who have expertise in this domain. So we're ensuring that the houses are female-owned or at least co-owned by women. Real support has been invaluable in helping us achieve net zero housing in Pakistan. With Real, we have a partner that understands the impact of housing, but also shares our vision of having sustainable, climate smart homes. Also, with Real's experience in this sector, it really helps us scale these solutions much faster.
So I find this a really, really exciting project because it is a clear demonstration of the potential to deliver high performance green housing at a low cost in Pakistan. These homes are selling for, or would be selling for around $13,000 to around $21,000 per home, and really, really strong green performance with hopefully an EDGE net zero certificate in the future. As the video said, off-grid solution, passive cooling design, which gives a natural about 6 degrees Celsius drop in temperature inside from the base case. So I think it's really, really exciting. Again, there's challenges, and as with many of our projects, a lot of those challenges are surrounding offtake. When Modulus Tech designed this project and when we invested into it, there was a government-backed mortgage subsidy scheme in Pakistan, which would have provided a 5% interest rate for mortgages. By the time we finished, that scheme had gone, and that was a shame. It meant that interest rates rose from what was planned to be 5% to around 23% now, which completely changes the affordability profile of this project. What we're doing now with this is doing it via a TPS instead, which appears to be working. It wasn't the original plan. Modulus Tech is also a really great segue into Africa via a really exciting partnership and pilot scheme between Modulus Tech and one of our Nigerian partners, Millard Fuller Foundation. MFF was last year, and possibly this year, the cheapest house. Not this year. Modulus Tech was last year the cheapest house in Africa and has been for a few years previously too. What this pilot is doing is taking that cheapest house, replicating its design using Modulus Tech's technology in its factory in Pakistan, shipping it across Nigeria, putting it on the same site as the MFF house, and really comparing the performance of the two, looking at the green performance, looking at the cost, and various other indicators too. And I think this is a really exciting opportunity to really understand what you can do in terms of very low cost green housing, where there are still challenges, and where we can further build on this and make improvements. So I'm really excited about this pilot. It is starting now, and I think there should be some great data coming from that in the future. Staying with Africa from now on, I now want to talk about Kenya and Zima Homes in Nairobi. Zima Homes, I find to be one of the most exciting projects in our portfolio right now. And that's because it has a really strong focus on both green and climate themes, but also a really strong commitment to testing and to piloting and to sharing success and challenges and gathering data and sharing that too. So I think it's a really, really great project. Once finished, it'll be 137 homes within Nairobi. Very strong green focus, as I say, including using modular design, prefabricated materials, low-cost solar collectors, and lots of other things. But also gender flows through all aspects of this project, from top to bottom. Seymour Homes is a women-led company. The market research that was undertaken at the beginning was strongly women-focused. There is a strong gender lens design in the way that the units and the plot and the site itself are designed. A significant proportion of the construction workers are female through Seymour Homes' sister organization, Build Her. And the offtake as well has been strongly focused on women. 67% of pre-sales so far have been to only women. Another 7%. Another 7% have been to both women and men jointly. I think those are really great figures. I think we should see a lot more of this across our portfolio and those of the wider room here. Again, yeah, I think really successful projects, again, challenges, again, around offtake. Original plans around mortgage and TPS. We're now looking, as I say, about landlord investors instead, but that appears to be working well and seems to be a great solution for reaching the market we want to reach. So, looking forwards, we've been combining all these learnings into a new project we want to take forward now. That's taking the learning from transferable development rights in India, packing into local policy, packing into regulatory approaches, using global concessional capital to leverage local finance. It's taking the guarantee ideas that I talked about for Nepal, using those to reduce risk for banks and to increase lender confidence. And it's tying finance to really strong, climate smart, green certified homes. Again, I'm going to rely on a video to explain it far better than I could. So can we run that video, please?
$300 million new homes are needed by 2030 to keep up with demand from rapid urbanization. At the same time, the built environment already contributes 37% of global emissions. Green construction is critical to mitigate the effects of climate change, but a lack of market confidence across Africa and Asia severely restricts the supply of both construction and end-user finance.
We've got to fix the housing crisis. We've got to do it in a green way, and that means unlocking a finance solution.
Green affordable housing finance is being developed to provide an answer. The instrument bridges financial barriers for local lenders and housing developers, de-risking investment and incentivizing a greener approach. The instrument is underpinned by two mechanisms. First, the Enabling Environment Facility identifies, supports, and builds the capacity of developers to deliver green, affordable housing. Technical assistance is also provided to local financial institutions to introduce machine learning software that accurately assesses informal and low-income earners for mortgages. Alongside this, the guarantee facility mobilizes local finance by extending guarantees to local lenders, de-risking construction and mortgage loans. Together, the two mechanisms foster a self-sustaining, locally driven housing finance ecosystem that can function without dependence on public financiers.
We know that people on low incomes are reliable repayers of finance, but the banks are quite conservative, or they haven't been shown that they can de-risk this investment.
REAL will pilot the idea in Kenya, where there's a shortage of 2 million homes and home ownership is as low as 21%. The launch will adopt technology from the alternative credit assessor Sintellect, which has already delivered 14,000 mortgages to unbanked households in India, and utilize IFC's green certification process for homes, EDGE. Once proven in Kenya, the instrument will be ready to move into other markets, boosting available capital for green developers and expanding home ownership into an untapped market.
So we have just received grant financing from the SDG Impact Finance Initiative to take this program on to the next level. And that's really about embedding gender within this approach across all aspects, ensuring equitable access for mortgages for joint and women-headed households, for feasibility testing, the instruments design, and for working on that pipeline, both across developers and across end-user finance providers. We're really looking for other organizations we can collaborate with on this in Kenya, whether they're housing developers, whether they're banks, whether they're others. So please come and talk to me about it if you get a chance. And with that, I will finish and say thank you very much.